back, everybody. It's another episode of Holistic Northwest Living. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, here with your host, as always, Amber McKenzie.
Hello, Chris, and everyone.
Thank you. And everyone.
I see you. I see you.
Very nice. Thank you. I see you. All right, good. Well, Amber, here we go again. I actually, this is, I'm coming in dark a little bit. I know what Jenninfer does a little bit, but I want to hear what you and Jenninfer talked about to have this interview. So I passed the conch to you.
Okay, sounds good. I love it. So I'm really excited to have my friend and colleague, Jenninfer Burrows, on today. Jenninfer is a member of the Holistic Chamber of Commerce, and she's an advertiser in Natural Awakenings, and her business is called Mind Body Wellness. And so Jenninfer does a lot of things in her business. And so first of all, I just want to welcome you, Jenninfer. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, thanks, Amber.
Yes, and we want to know, well, first of all, can you tell us a little bit more about your business, what you do, and how it came about?
I think I can do that. But before I get into that, I just want to give a huge shout out to you, Amber, because I think you've done a phenomenal job just bringing all the different modalities in our community to light in the magazine and just through the networking events that you try to organize. And so thank you for that.
Oh, thank you for saying
you're
that.
Here.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
So I guess, I can go through the modalities I offer. I offer quantum biofeedback, emotion code, body code, and HeartMath. And I also do nutritional coaching. I should probably start with why all of that came about. And so I've always had an active interest in natural wellness at a very young age. So in fact, I think this could be in the article. As a teenager, I loved to read prevention magazines. My mom had an herbal book and I'd read her herbal book. And I just thought it was fascinating how you could take things like vitamin E and vitamin C and just cure some, things that you normally have to go to the doctor for. So I just thought that just always was very fascinating to me. So essentially what happened was one of our sons at the age of 7 was diagnosed with a tic disorder. And our only two options at the time were either SSRIs, which of course now have a black label warning for anyone under the age of 18, or a blood pressure lowering medication to help balance or I guess reduce the stress in his nervous system. And so I would have to monitor his blood pressure. In fact, I had a friend and her child was on this medication. He passed out riding his bicycle. So I just felt like those weren't options. And that's when we explored naturopathy for our son. And we got some really good results, but it was a lot of work. Complete dietary overhaul. One of the potential issues that you have with the tic disorder, nervous system disruption, is environmental toxins. So we tried to reduce toxins as much as possible. Did a complete overhaul with the products that we used in our home, cleaning products, and food. And at the time, because I'm talking, this was probably 17 years ago, organic food was very expensive. So I tried to do local organic fruits and vegetables as much as possible, but I really found that I was cooking everything from scratch. And the amount of supplements that he was on, I just felt like the changes that we had made were not going to be sustainable for him, because then I started thinking, okay, my hope is that he'll heal, but what if he still has to do this when he's 16 or 17 or when he moves out? What will his life look like? So at the time, I had a friend of mine who had told me about a homeopathic doctor that was coming to Spokane, who his specialty was classical homeopathy. And I didn't really know much about homeopathy other than like cough syrup or arnica for bumps and bruises and things like that. But we went to go visit him. And I think we saw great benefits with homeopathy, but that's where I really learned the importance of supporting the vital force. And other cultures call it different things, prana, chi, whatever, but we all have this vital force. And when there are things that get in the way, then that ultimately affects our vital force's ability really to be able to heal and have, balance and wellness within the body. So it was about 5 years into our journey of homeopathy that I was introduced to quantum biofeedback. And it was because of the appreciation that I gained of the body electric and just factors that happen to us even before that we're born that can impact our health. I really saw the value in quantum biofeedback. So we tried it out. I tried it out first. And I think for the first time in I don't know how many years, I slept solid for an entire week. And then we started using it for our son, and that's where we really started seeing additional benefits.
What can you explain that for a sec? Like, what is quantum biofeedback? Like, you tried it out. Does that mean you sat in a machine, or like somebody did some Reiki stuff with like their hands and energy? Like, what is quantum biofeedback?
So it's a machine, and I really feel like it's the best of all worlds combined, because it's really has a good representation of different modalities.
Okay.
So it's really complex software, and you do wear a head harness that has electrodes, and it delivers really low level microcurrent, and then you have wrist and ankle straps that are measuring all 4 quadrants of the body. So it's measuring nervous system response through electrodermal responses, so it's measuring skin temperature changes, any kind of moisture changes. So these things happen in the skin when the nervous system is responding with stress or not. There's these changes that happen physiologically within the skin. So the first part of the system is a process called calibration, where your unique baseline is being established. And then after that, you go through 11,000 different signatures that range all the way from nutrients to toxins. And we measure your body's response to those substances. And then there are a lot of programs within the system that correlate specifically to organs and systems. And we can just help re-educate those systems. If there's data that I'm looking at, there's numbers. And if when I'm working in a particular panel, the scores are really we know that there's considerable stress there. So there's a lot of different ways to work. The system will on its own pull in values that you're not responding appropriately to, but also as a practitioner, based on what a client is coming in for, what the particular wellness concern is. Like, let's say it's digestive, the entire session can be to support digestive health.
So part of that sounds like what I hear in that is in the calibration part, it's getting feedback from the body about what's going on. And as I relate to machines, most of the time I think of machines as measuring stuff, but it sounds also like it doesn't just measure what's going on, it actually programs back into the body. Is that also what you're saying?
Yeah, so what it's doing, in physics, there's a phenomenon that's called entrainment. So what entrainment means, when you have two systems that have similar frequencies, when they're put together, the tendency will be for those two systems to resonate with one another, to vibrate at the same frequency. So just like if you were to go in for an EKG, your heart should have a certain frequency within a normal range. The same thing with brain waves, there are certain frequencies. But that's not just isolated to the heart and the brain, that's literally your entire body. Each system should have a normal frequency. So the panels that deal with, like I said, the organs and the systems, and even the substances that are programmed in there, they've taken electrical measurements of all of these different things. And so you've got the first part, like I said, I don't know, let's say that you have a known toxic exposure to aluminum. If I load that aluminum signature and I measure what your body's response is to that signature, if you're not responding appropriately, your values are really low, then we know that your body has gone into this adaptation stage where it's not even recognizing aluminum as being a problem.
Wow.
So that's the one part of it. And then we can do that with the systems in the body as well. So we want to bring the body into resonance with what the frequencies should be. And it's a very, very gentle process of entrainment. So it does take a few sessions.
Right. But there is this, maybe that's probably not the word you'd use, but this reprogramming, there's this resonance, or there's this, you can affect change in the way the body is dealing with the aluminum, for example, through a couple sessions with the machine. Yeah.
So basically we're using the body's, the body first and foremost is electrical. So that's what we're using to bring the body to a state of awareness. And so with biofeedback, we can affect the body's ability to modulate itself internally. So there could be some things that the body hyper responds to that it doesn't need to, and some things that it's, toxins and things that could potentially be problematic that the body's just not recognizing as a stressor anymore.
Have you guys seen those sci-fi shows where you lie down on a table and then the nurse or the doctor like basically scans your body and like fixes the thing like in a second? They're like, I'm going to scan your body and fix it with a machine. That's sort of what I kind of feel like we're kind of getting like, we're combining science and the body and like how the thing works. And we're starting to, I don't know, are we starting to get there? I feel like.
Yeah.
I think we are slowly but surely.
I love
really
biofeedback too. I've done it with Jenninfer before, and it's so awesome. And like she said, there are how many different like programs can you run on someone? I mean, it seems like there's like 11,000. Did you say 11,000 things?
So there's 11,000 signatures that are in the library, but then there are sub programs. There's like over 800 sub programs in the system. So the potential of what you could do as a practitioner honestly is limitless, because it's like you can combine things. I mean, there's a lot. It's definitely, like I said, the system pulls certain things in, but as a practitioner too, it really is an art form, because every time the client comes in, more and more of their story is unfolding and you start seeing a clearer picture. So there is that important, element too. Yes, the system does a lot, but just as a practitioner, seeing what you see and what your client's telling you, there's a lot that you can start pulling in and doing and just really fine tuning.
Yeah. You've piqued my curiosity so much here. I'm wondering like how, I get a little skeptical in the space of like, do I just come in and it treats my symptoms and I go away not knowing what I'm up to? Or do you work with people to create a plan and like there's like a roadmap to stuff?
So first of all, biofeedback doesn't treat or diagnose at all. So what we're trying to do is just help the body regulate itself and just unload some of that stress so that it can function. So there is a plan to, just because of course nutrition is important. It's not just about the body electric, but it's also about lifestyle. It's about nutrition. It's about a lot of different pieces that need to come together. And it's just really about helping the client see the changes that need to be made so that the body can heal, because the body truly has been designed to be able to heal itself. Yeah. But sometimes it needs some help.
I should clarify that I'm not skeptical of you, by the way. I think when we go down the road of trying to find answers for our health, we try so many things and things don't work. And at some point we start going, well, I guess I'll try it, but I don't really know. And if all this does is treat symptoms, but doesn't help me see what I need to see to actually make change, then what good is this anyway? And I think that's what I'm trying to speak to is how you, Jenninfer, guide people through the process of what they're wanting to accomplish.
Well, and I think with what I do in my practice, I don't necessarily look at, I don't get hyper focused on symptoms, because symptoms is just, it's the body's way. It's the language that the body uses to express, I have an imbalance. There's something that's going on here. So the primary focus that I have in my practice is really to reduce stress. And whether that's, again, electrically with biofeedback, re-educating the body's responses to things, or again, dietary changes, lifestyle, even things like lifestyle, those kinds of things are super important, because you could be doing everything by the book. You could be drinking all the water you need to, exercising, great diet. But if you've got some things in your life that you're just very unhappy about, or there's some emotional components, traumas, different things like that, you're only going to get so far with those sorts of changes. So I look at stress very, very holistically. Mm-hmm. Because stress is, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I want you to keep talking. But you mentioned, you could be doing everything that you're supposed to with your health, water, food. But if you're not taking care of your stress and emotions, you could still just be as sick as, as someone who's eating, badly or whatever. So tell us about emotions and how those can affect what's going on in our body, and how you can help people with those emotions to release those.
So I have yet to find anyone that's come in for a wellness concern that doesn't have emotional baggages connected to that. And the fascinating thing about emotions is we are now seeing through scientific studies that with mice, they have found that trauma will be passed down up to 2 generations. Of course, that's with mice. With human beings, I feel like it's a lot more than 2 generations.
I agree.
So the first thing we need to realize is that when we're born, I would love to think that we're a blank slate, but we're not. We're already carrying the story of many generations before us, not only emotional stories, toxic burdens as well. And we've also seen that through scientific studies. When a child is born, they're already bearing the toxic burden of what mom was exposed to. So you have to understand that there's this template of emotions, and emotions really can affect how we walk through life. They even children that have been through trauma, they have more propensity for autoimmune disorders later in life. So we're seeing this more and more, and it's being validated through scientific studies. So emotion code is a modality that was created by Dr. Bradley Nelson, a chiropractor. And essentially you're using kinesiology, and you're literally asking the body. So you're tapping into the subconscious mind, which is, I think, like runs 98% of our body. I think our conscious mind is only like 2%.
Yeah.
And you can be really creative in how you ask the body questions. If you know that there is a certain time in your life that you had some major things happen, we can ask if there are any trapped emotions that occurred during that time in your life. If you deal with something like chronic pain or have digestive issues or whatever it is that's going on, we can ask the body if there are trapped emotions that are contributing to this particular wellness concern. And basically, the client holds that intention of releasing these trapped emotions once they've been identified. And then I use a magnet, and that's based on ancient Chinese medicine. They used a lot of magnetic therapy in their medicine. And we use the magnet, we run it down the governing meridian in the body. The governing meridian connects to literally everything in the body. So it's like we're amplifying that thought intention, which is also a frequency, using the magnet and kind of allowing that message to permeate the body. And then I ask the client if the emotion has been released. Sometimes they can be stubborn. So I'll have my clients take a little walk or have a drink of water, take some deep breaths, and then share if the emotions release.
And I feel like, Jennifer, the emotions are so huge, and we just don't, because I don't know, it seems like probably a new concept to most people, but it makes perfect sense that because we are energy, emotions that we feel are energetic and can get stuck in the body. And for me, when I did the emotion code, the first thing, correct me if I'm wrong, the first thing that many people kind of start with is their heart wall, because most of us have built up a wall, and it is surrounding our heart. And mine was 2 miles long, energetically. Wow. And it was made out of oak, which is the strongest tree out there. So it was very, very solid. And there were a lot of hidden emotions, trapped emotions. I mean, it took like 5 sessions to get rid of it. What has been your experience with people with heart walls?
What I found is eliminating heart walls is the most challenging, because the body has created that wall for a reason. It's a protective mechanism. So usually, I'll let people know beforehand, make sure you have a good support system. You may not feel so great. And usually I like to just release 2 or 3 from the heart wall. I'm really gentle, because a few things can happen. One is, whenever you're releasing an emotion, there's always the potential of retracing some events, like feeling like, wow, why is this thing bothering me so much? And it happened 30 years ago or 20 years ago. So you feel like, you're really reliving it. There could be some of that, but it's always short-lived. So that's the good thing. So people could feel, they could cry a little bit more. They could be more emotional. But one of the things that I have noticed that can happen with the heart wall release is, I think sometimes people experience a level of apathy, and they didn't realize how apathetic they were until the heart wall was removed. And then, they can become super emotional, like, Huggies commercial, and they cry. Example, because it's like the body just kind of has to relearn. It's like, okay, it's okay for me to feel emotion. It's okay. It's safe. So I think that, yeah, I would say that the removal of the heart wall is probably the most challenging, because that is a protective barrier that we're, trying to tap into and help the body release so that it can learn better ways, I guess, of processing emotions.
Right.
Wow. There's clearly there's a lot of exploration here. I think, for those that are curious, there's lots of places to go to work with Jenninfer. It sounds like on, you have multiple tools, right? You have multiple ways of modalities of helping people. If people want to learn more about what you do or come in for a session with you, how do people find you?
So I do have a website. It's SpokaneBiofeedback.com, and I have my different modalities listed on there. And usually what I like to do is I like for people to come in for a consult. I prefer face-to-face because that way we get to know each other better, but I do, I'll do phone consults as well. And that's a good time for people to come in and just explore the different modalities and ask questions. And typically what I like to do then the first session, if people do decide that they want to try something, is I do a pretty thorough client intake form, because I like to have a good idea of just what people have been through, what they're struggling with, because it gives me a good picture as a practitioner.
Nice. So again, it's SpokaneBiofeedback.com.
Mm-hmm.
And your location, where are you located?
So I am located at 319 West Hastings.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so the north side of Spokane, inside the Thomas Hammer Coffee Building. So if anyone knows the Thomas Hammer Coffee Shop on Hastings, there's offices that are in there. So that's a good landmark. So
awesome. So cool. So fascinating. Amber, I love that you have put the show together, because every time we get to talk to somebody else with another angle or perspective on healing and holistic living, I love it. So cool.
And I love having you here, Jenninfer, because I know that you do like such amazing work, and you've helped me and my family so much.
Thank you, Amber. I appreciate that.
Amber, if people want to learn more about holistic practitioners in the area by way of Natural Awakenings magazine or through the Holistic Chamber of Commerce, or they just want to learn more about what you're doing with Holistic Northwest Living, where do people go?
They can go to holisticnorthwestliving.com. Very easy. Just go there and you'll be directed in the right location.
Right. Really good. Awesome. Well, thanks again, both of you, for being here today. And until next time, Amber, take care.
Okay, sounds good. See you guys.
Thank you.